Hey, welcome back to New Slang. I'm music journalist Thomas Mooney, your host, and we kick off the week being joined by Nashville by way of Provo, Utah band Desert Noises. More specifically, I'm joined by Kyle Henderson, the lead vocalist and chief lyricist of the band. We had a really great conversation a couple of weeks back. It primarily is about their newest album, Everything Always. It was released a little over a month ago. So if you've been listening to New Slang for really any bit of time, you'll know that while I primarily cover artists and music that is happening in Americana and in country, I don't just limit myself to that when listening to music. I mean, I don't think really anyone does that anymore, especially in our modern society where so much music is so accessible. I pretext this just simply because while I don't think Desert Noises is a giant stretch sonically and lyrically from a lot of the music that is being talked about on New Slang, I know for some of y'all they may sound like they're just from an entirely different world. And that's fine, obviously, but I say this as an invitation to go check them out. Long story short, don't dismiss them just because they may be slightly out of your box. So yeah, Everything Always by Desert Noises. I really love the mood and the feel of the album. There's a warmth and texture to it that is vibrant at times, but probably like my favorite moments are when they just go off and explore these really cosmic, space-embracing soundscapes. Sometimes it's a really chilly, almost like an eerie coldness to it that's really in a song like American Skin. It's interesting how they can create these like infinitely grand sonic soundscapes, but then you also kind of realize just how simple it can be as well. It's not just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer to create these monolithic wall of sound movements. They consistently use the space between to really create these moments. The closing song, Windows Down, that's another prime example of that. There's these shimmering guitars and these echoing harmonies that just kind of feel like that soft rain that's hitting like a tin roof or something. Again, there's a coldness to it, but it's also really beautiful and relaxing. Anyway, I feel like y'all will really enjoy Everything Always. I have a feeling that myself, I'll be returning to it more and more as the season continues to get a little bit colder outside. Today's presenting sponsor is Desert Door Texas Soto. If you know anything about me, it's probably that I'm from the heart of West Texas and absolutely love everything about West Texas. And that's really why I love Desert Door so much. You may be asking yourself what exactly Soto is. Well, it's a premium spirit that's similar to a tequila or a mezcal. But for my money, it's a little bit more refined and smooth. There's a sweetness and faint hints of vanilla and citrus. And it's also as versatile as your garden variety vodka. At its core, Desert Door is authentically West Texas. They go out and harvest Soto plants from the wild and bring them back to their distillery over in Driftwood, Texas. So next time you're at your local liquor store, get a bottle of Desert Door. For more info, check this episode's show notes. Before we get started, I should mention that I revamped the New Slang Patreon last week. For those unfamiliar with Patreon, it's essentially a way for you to subscribe to New Slang for some additional perks and content. Right now, there are 4 tiers. For $3 a month, you get New Slang episodes ad-free. For $5 a month, you'll get those ad-free episodes plus be part of the New Slang Postcard Club. For $10, you get the ad-free episodes, New Slang postcards, and new New Slang merch on a monthly basis. And then for $15, you get all of those plus extra unreleased interviews from the past. Also, if you're a patron, I'll give you updates on who's coming on New Slang in the future. So the New Slang postcards and poster prints, those are monthly show posters that I make. Essentially, I design a new poster every month to feature the 8 to 10 New Slang guests from that month. Right now, there's prints for April, May, June, July, August, and September. Basically, when you subscribe to the New Slang Postcard Club, you get those prints monthly. And if you become a New Slang patron by the end of September, I'll give you all the previous months on the house. Which, if you don't want to become a patron, but you still want the prints, they're available in the New Slang merch store. I've also done some additional prints for the previous years of New Slang. And of course, if you want to see these prints, go ahead and head over to the New Slang Instagram or Twitter at _newslang. And then of course, there will always be a link to this in the show notes. So yeah, become a New Slang Patreon subscriber. It's a great way to support the podcast. All right, let's get on to the interview. Here is Kyle Henderson of Desert Noises. Yeah, let's just go and get started. Obviously, you guys released this new record just a couple weeks back, and obviously we're in the middle of this pandemic right now, and I'm assuming that was not part of your plans. What was like your... Obviously, you guys had a little bit of a hiatus between these last two records, a 6-year gap. So I'm assuming like the sooner the better for releasing this album, and then this happens. What was y'all's, I guess, plans once we knew like touring and stuff was going to be out? Did you guys push the record back some, or what was like the plans around there?
Actually, it's funny. We did the exact opposite. So we weren't planning on releasing it. And then the tour the tour got canceled, and we had been, kind of passing it around to labels and whatever. And it kind of wasn't going as well as we thought it was, I think. And we just got off, we kind of like parted ways with the management team, and then we're looking at a new management team, and then everything just kind of like went to shit, And so we started doing everything ourselves. And at that point, when the tour got canceled and whatever, we were just like, it's been like, that was going to be kind of like a, hey, we're back type thing from this hiatus. But even though we had been doing a little bit here and there, but we were just like, you know what, like, we can't sit on this any longer. Let's just put it out. Like, it might be a weird time. It might be a bad move, but like, let's just go for it because we just want it to be out. And our hope was, that it would be like some kind of positive thing in all of the downside of whatever's going on in the world. So, I think that's where our minds were at a little bit. I don't know if it's like the smartest move that we did, but whatever.
Well, like sometimes there's been all these people who have been putting their records off, right?
Right.
So sometimes you have to zig when everyone else is zagging. And,
right, exactly.
Obviously though, like people are, for the most part, a lot of people are stuck at home. So, that's why Hulu and Netflix, their ratings have been just jumping off, right? And you would have to expect that with records too. Some albums people are actually like listening to and spending a lot more time with. So, what I always find so weird is, or not necessarily weird, but connected to this is that, you guys are kind of connected to these songs a lot longer than like that period before releasing it. You guys are around these songs, and so there's like, it's not like you just wrote them and then released them the next day or something. So you guys are kind of like, how long, like realistically, how long can we sit on these songs before we're, we've already got new songs, or like we're tired of these songs, quote unquote, so that's, I'm assuming that's was a part of it too.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely a huge part of it, I think, I mean, not that we were sick of the songs, I guess, but it had been like a year since we had finished the record, and we're just like, okay, it's time, like at this point we want to start doing new stuff. And I think at that, with our downtime and we start doing new stuff, I mean, that record could have gotten lost, or, I mean, I'm sure it would have came out, but we probably would have been on to the next thing because we're just always creating. And, I mean, it's more music out there. So, I mean, there's going to be more songs coming up and whatever. I didn't really see an issue with it. And I think it's been doing really well given that we can't tour and promote it, I mean, we're happy with it. So,
yeah, obviously a lot of people have been having to think outside the box during this point. What have you guys been doing to promote the record, but also obviously you're not playing shows in front of people? Like, so what have you guys been, what have you guys been doing outside the box, quote unquote, that you've been helping engage and interact with fans?
We did a weekly live stream for 8 weeks in a row. Like every Wednesday, we were doing a live stream, and we'd have different kind of people on it, and we'd play different sets and go to different locations. And I think that was the way that we promoted. And then once the album came out, we kind of have taken a break, and we're going to start doing more live streams again. But we kind of really got into that whole thing. It was kind of a disaster at first, to be honest. Like, it was just things kept crashing and whatever. But we kind of figured out this way that we could cross stream to different Facebook pages for like the venues that we were supposed to be on tour at. Mm-hmm. So every week we'd have like a different sling of 15 venues or different companies that would also stream it from their page. And so it's kind of a way to gather new fans a little bit, and then also just like kind of support those people as well. And then, you know, I mean, that's kind of really where we were at. And I don't know. I mean, it was really fun, and it definitely got a lot of good feedback, but it's so much different than playing.
Yeah, because obviously
a live show,
you know, right after you end those songs, there's no applause or, you know.
Yeah. Brennan just does the little hand claps on his drum pad. That was about it.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'd seen like a lot of like singer-songwriters do that, just on like Instagram and stuff. And after they end the song, you know, they lean in and they're squinting and they're trying to read comments, and like it's just like such a foreign experience, you know. So
yeah,
you know, it's so also with like the live streaming, and I think like in principle, it's really easy like to tell yourself like, hey, let's do that. And then like everyone, you think of it as being like this really simple thing to set up. And then there's like this steep learning curve of like, oh shit, we kind of have to like figure out how to do all this that we've, you theoretically know what to do, how to set it all up. But then it's like, there's always going to be one little thing that kind of can be the problem at least.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's a lot. Eventually at the end, we started going to Acme Radio, and they kind of just like were doing a bunch of streams every day, or like they were doing one a day kind of thing. Like, and so they had it all set up, and that was the best, because then we kind of it was like a show. We'd just show up a couple hours before, set up, get everything checked, and then we'd play. But when we were doing it like at my house and stuff, it's like, one, the room is really small. We're trying to like figure out where to put mics so that it's not just like blasting everybody and still sounds good and then looks cool. But like, it's the middle of summer. The room that we're in is kind of like the AC doesn't really work. Just sweating. I don't know. There's lights everywhere, and it's just a mess. And then you got to tear it down at the end of the night. And, you know, I mean, I guess like you do that on the road, but it's so much more rewarding to be around people, and there's like you're talking and whatever. And our live streams, we never really did the comments thing. We kind of just played, and then it was over. So it's just like these 9-hour days of work for like a 40-minute show. And it was just like, I mean, I don't like mean to say it's like this bad thing, but it's just like, man, this is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't think people realize.
But you know, it was fun. I mean, it's always fun to play, so we were stoked on that. It was just kind of like, I think we like playing more than we like setting up, just like anybody else. But
yeah, and then of course, like you said, like the lights are hot. You know, like
yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, when you're playing a live show and you're breaking down and all that stuff, you're coming off of a high. So like, you know, it's a lot more fun doing that than just going, oh, okay, turn off the cameras and
right. So, are the cameras off yet? Can we say these things?
Yeah. So obviously, like this record, you said you guys have been kind of sitting on it for a year, but you worked with Bill Reynolds as the producer, and I guess like how did you guys get in with him, and like how did he come on board to produce the project?
Our manager at the time was setting me up with just like different people for writing sessions around Nashville. And Bill ended up being one of those. And the day that me and him met, we just like hit it off immediately. We wrote a song, and then he asked his manager to set it up again. And we just kind of like kept meeting every week, and then just kind of like fell into place really quickly. We were like, let's put these songs on our record. I've got some more songs. Like, let's do this thing. And then we were like, okay, yeah, let's start recording at such and such a date. Let's not put a time limit on it. You know, maybe it'll take us like a year. We'll just like keep going until it's good. And then like 2 weeks later, the record's done. So I feel like the reason why we've been sitting on it for so long is because it just went way faster than what we thought, you know?
Yeah.
We were kind of just like, okay, well, I don't know what else to add. Like, this sounds great. So everything was just really smooth and really fast. I mean, I think we did like 4 days or 2.5 weeks or something, and then it was done.
Yeah. You know, like,
and we mixed for like 3 days.
The album, like, I feel like there's, I think like you're easily you gravitate towards these upbeat moments in these songs, these really rhythmic, melodic moments. But what I really feel like one of the strongest aspects of the album is these moods that you guys create by kind of having space in the songs.
Right.
What, like, I guess like it's always so easy to go like, hey, can we add this or can we do this? What about, like, I guess where do you fall in line whenever it's like, no, we don't need to add anything else. We need, like, this helps create a heightened sense or a heightened mood. Where does that come in for when you guys are recording and creating a song?
You know, I think that comes kind of with experience in some ways. I think that after you've made a few records and after you kind of start doing that stuff, you realize, like, you're kind of, I think in a way at the beginning of making records, you're just like, it's really exciting. It's super fun to turn on a guitar amp and like record just anything you want. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think the more experience that you get with it, it's kind of just like, let's just make this one thing sound really, really good. And then that could be the whole song, you know? And I just think that also the band kind of went from 4 members to 3 members. And so having it translate live and we didn't really think about that at all. Like, we're kind of thinking about that now and just like, oh shit, what are we going to do here? But, you know, I mean, Bill is also in the same vein of like, we've all, I think, really like simplicity and stuff that just sounds really good. We wanted everything on its own to sound really great. We took a long time basically with the drums, and then like this record, the drums are, and I don't know if you noticed, but they're like really loud in a lot of the songs. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like always been our thing, is like the rhythm of the song, the bass line and the drums ever since the beginning. And so, you know, I think that's just kind of something that came with, you know, like I was saying, just like doing it for a longer period of time or something, or just listening to music that's so overdone all the time where, you know, you kind of like hear this one part, you really like it, but everything else that's going on, it's like, sometimes it just doesn't matter, you know? And I think like having those simple moments in that space and the breadth of things just makes things more interesting. It kind of really puts your attention into like, oh, this is what's happening in this moment, and this is what's happening in another moment. And also gives like an attention to the vocals and the lyrics and stuff like that, you know, some other music just doesn't really kind of hit that on the head. But not to say that that's wrong. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it, but I think that's just kind of what we were going for. Yeah.
Like, you know, it is so easy to just go, oh, you know what, we're in a studio and we have like these experienced players, or like we're working with someone really, really great who can be super talented, who can do all these things. Let's add as much of that as possible. And then, like, you know, you kind of like lose focus on what was important in the song to begin with.
Right.
So,
yeah. And that's kind of, you know, on this record, I mean, we were really conscious. I mean, this one was really fun because all three of us kind of just like left our egos at the door for this album. Like there was songs that Tyler didn't even play bass on, you know, like Bill played the bass because it was already kind of like the part was already there when we had written it as a songwriting section, and there was no reason to replay it just to have Tyler play it, you know? But also at the same time, it's like I didn't play guitar on every song. Tyler played guitar sometimes, and Brennan played keyboards. Like we were all just kind of like, whoever can play it the best, you play the part. You know what I mean? It was just this hodgepodge of like, it's, you know, I know that like a lot of people are like, oh, he's the guitar player, he's the bass player, he's the drummer. But with this record, I mean, you would be blown away at the stuff that everybody else added, you know? Mm-hmm. Like it's not like, okay, we need a keyboard part. Like Kyle, you're the keyboard player kind of sometimes. Let's do that. You know, it's just like we're all experimenting and just letting whatever sounded best kind of run the course of the record.
This episode is in part brought to you by the Blue Light Live here in Lubbock, Texas. While Blue Light is still closed due to the pandemic, there is a way to help A, support Blue Light, and B, get a sense of that normalcy by visiting bluelightlubbock.com, clicking on the merch tab, and getting some koozies, a vast array of t-shirts and caps, and yes, even a Blue Light flag. While it is such a bummer that live music is still on hold right now, I'm telling you, by getting some Blue Light Live merch, you're going to feel better. It just feels better wearing a t-shirt and ball cap and helping support your favorite bar. Again, that's bluelightlubbock.com. Click on the merch tab, get some merch. All right, back to the episode. Is there like an example of like a song that kind of, you know, I guess like that initial thought that you had about it, it morphed and changed into something that you didn't necessarily envision being the final product, but you know, ended up being that way on the album? Is there a song that kind of went really, really, not necessarily wild, but like that just changed a lot once you guys got into the studio?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the song Everything Always really kind of took a wild turn compared to what it was before when I was playing it. Like as it's just like this kind of acoustic song, and I always imagined it being, you know, pretty dark and kind of like, but I don't think I ever imagined it going to like that crazy of a place. And then obviously Heavy Metal Underground. I mean, I think that one we just kind of were like, you know, Bill had this saying, it was just like, let's ruin our careers today type thing. And like that one, we just like went for it, man. I mean, there was nothing we didn't try. You know, I mean, there's a fake crowd in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gets crazy in there. And like, you know, I mean, people love it, I think. And some people are probably on the edge about it, but we just thought like, what the hell, man, this is music. This is how we feel in this moment. So here we go.
Yeah. You know, what I always love is when a band or an artist just kind of approaches a record more like a snapshot of that point in history for the band or those songs, and doesn't feel like they have to quote unquote get like they have to feel like they have to get it perfect for all time. Like this is going to be the song forever, you know?
Right.
And sometimes you can like just nitpick something to death where you kind of lose that focus, and then like it passes you by and like you're kind of already like on it. So I think it's always important to just kind of, you know, if there's something that you guys want to do or you want to do on a song or something, you shouldn't be necessarily scared to do it because someone might not like it later or something.
Right. Yeah. So. I totally agree with that. I mean, you know, My Morning Jacket Z was like one of my favorite albums, and that record is wild. I mean, it's so crazy, especially when it came out. I remember like being really high in high school and listening to it the day it came out, and was like, I thought that like I was making it up in my mind, you know. I was like, they didn't really do that. I'm just hearing it like that. And then like, obviously listen to it again. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That band right there has kind of like Z, like right before they were more going into this like psychedelic Southern rock, really kind of loud. And that was just such a different turn. And I know like a lot of people were turned off by it, but I too, like, I loved how like just the moods and the intenseness of that record.
Oh yeah, man, I love that album. I think it's one of their best. I just think it was so. I love bands like that. One of my favorite bands is Radiohead, and like, none of their records sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's all different. Everything's different, so.
Yeah, like, well, that's like, I think it's so easy for some bands to lose their creative output as far as learning to understand, like, that they don't have to make the same thing every time. Whatever that made them popular, they don't have to recreate that. And,
right.
I understand like why you would hesitate to maybe drift from that because, am I going to lose my fan base? Because at some point when you're that giant, you're supporting so many more people than just the people in the band. But
for sure,
all these great bands that we love, like they've grown, and like they're not making the same record they did at 20. So that's
right.
That's what I love so much about a lot of these bands like Radiohead, My Morning Jacket, and do you have like a favorite Radiohead moment or album?
Hail to the Thief, I think it's probably my favorite album.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually just got a tattoo of the Kid A album cover yesterday. So
okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like them all. They're just so different, honestly. I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's so funny because I talk to people that don't like Radiohead, and I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How? But I guess I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those bands to me. They're like, yeah, maybe their most recent stuff, it's not like I'm like, wow, this is the greatest album of all time, but I still respect it. And I think just growing up with it, it's like just kind of everything to me in my world at that time. And so I think there's just no wrong album, honestly.
Yeah. Like for me, even though like it probably came out like, I guess, 10, 15 years before I started actually listening to it. My favorite record is The Bins.
Oh, okay.
I just love like that record. And I feel like that was probably like the first record I got, or I don't know. I guess OK Computer was like probably the first thing I listened to. But like The Bins was that first one that I fell in love with. And then I just feel like I go back to that album.
Right.
So, but I mean,
it's a good record,
a lot of those middle year records, I guess, like OK Computer and Kid A, and all the way up to, I guess, like In Rainbows, is just they're just fucking incredible.
Oh, it's unreal. It's unreal. All of those, I mean, to have that many in a row that are just so different but still all amazing, I think, there's not that many bands that do that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You've got like the Beatles, and I mean, just like one after another. It's pretty rare,
Right.
Sometimes, I mean, I think you get a lot of bands that'll have a record that's really well, then they'll do one that's really bad, and then another one that'll do really well again. But to have that many consecutively is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and again, like they're I don't want to say reinvented themselves each time, but there is that aspect of it where they're not trying to they're not trying to recreate the last record. That's so key. So, yeah, you guys though, like when I've been listening to you, you guys do remind me of like that, what I would kind of call like that middle indie rock, mid 2000s indie rock explosion. That's when I was like real young, and like I guess I was probably in my 20s around there. And I feel like you guys kind of really fall in line within that mix, and those records of that time were probably important to y'all. Is that kind of is that a good hunch?
Yeah. I mean, that's that's the music I was obsessed with, you know. And I think that for me, it's almost impossible to tear away from that sound in a certain way, because that's just all I listened to, you know. I mean, Modest Mouse was like my favorite band ever, especially like when I first started getting into music, you know. And there's just something about that time period of music that the feeling to me is just so right on the money that I think that my body like tends to want to recreate something like that for myself, you know?
Yeah. You know, like all those records, I feel like they created like these really great moods, and like,
Totally.
and it's so weird because, or not weird, but it also, I think it's easy to like just generalize that time, but there's like a lot of diversity in there too. Like everything from Modest Mouse to Fleet Foxes, or, you know, but they're
right.
all creating like these heightened moods, I feel. And I think like you guys do that on this album here. Those moods of those, that you feel the song just as much as you feel the lyrical aspect.
Right. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's kind of what we were going for, you know? I mean, I think we all really were into that music and into those kinds of, you know, creating a feeling rather than like, I don't know. It's hard. I guess it's kind of hard to explain outside of your mind, but to be able, we just wanted people to be able to live in each song in a different moment, you know?
I wanted to talk to y'all one more time about our new partners at Desert Door and offer up a handful of my favorite ways to drink it. Get you a Mexican Coca-Cola, have a couple of swigs, then pour yourself some Desert Door Oak aged in, toss in a lime wedge or two. Or how about this? Pour some Desert Door into a mug, top off the glass with some ginger beer, squeeze in a lime. Or for all you ranch water drinkers out there, get you a Topo Chico, take a couple of pulls off, and then pour in some Desert Door. Toss in a couple of lime wedges, and now you have a mighty tasty and refreshing ranch water. Remember, Sotol is as versatile as vodka and has a more refined, smooth, and a more complex palate than tequila. It's rich and balanced, and whatever your go-to drink is, it'll make it that much better. And again, it's inherently West Texas. It tastes like home. For more info on Desert Door, check our show notes. All right, that's it for Thomas Mooney's Cocktail Minute. Let's get back to the show. Yeah.
So,
obviously, Bill, connected to Band of Horses, was in the band and stuff like that. Is there like any kind of like, not necessarily like, I don't want to say like fanboying or anything like that, but like, you know, because you obviously knew who he was. Was there any kind of like hesitation, I guess, or like timidness to be around someone you knew who had helped be part of?
Been in a band you were really loved?
Basically, yeah.
You know, I guess maybe kind of when we were first going to meet, I was pretty excited. But that like totally went away within like 15 minutes, honestly. It was so weird. I mean, we just like became such good friends that I like kind of, it's like sometimes thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, he was in Band of Horses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I guess I never really, I think it was all, you know, obviously it's always there, but just our friendship was so right on so fast that it was just that kind of all went away. I think all of us were just like this big group of buds, honestly, you know. And like the other guy that helped us, Jason Kingsland, he like helped engineer and mix the record too. It was like kind of co-produced and stuff by him, co-engineered and co-mixed. And, you know, he mixed like so many cool records that I'm obsessed with, like all the Deer Hunter stuff and all the Washed Out stuff. And so to be in a room with those two guys, they've done those albums together a lot. It was just kind of like, you know, there was moments of just like, wow, these guys rule. But they were just so nice and just so down to earth people in general that it's just hard to even, I don't know, I guess you didn't really think about it until you kind of like took a step back, or when you were talking to someone, you're like, yeah, he did this. That's like, and then people will be like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And you're kind of like, oh yeah, I guess they did do these really cool things. It is kind of hard to explain in some ways, but it was just, I think once we were in the room, it just kind of became this, we were all really focused on this project and didn't really think about it until maybe after.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying, because like, in the moment you're kind of just focused on what you're doing, and it does take someone to kind of like point out the rarity of the moment too, so
right.
You mentioned that first time you guys met and you guys were working on doing some co-writing together. Did that song end up on the record? And by chance, what song was that? What were you guys working on?
Yeah, it was actually the first single. It was "I'm Leaving." That was the song we wrote and basically recorded that whole thing in like 3 hours.
Yeah, well, like where did that song come from? Was it just kind of like the seed of the song? Did you
honestly? There was nothing. We just kind of like sat down and started like playing, and then I just started to kind of sing some stuff over it. It was really interesting. There was no like. I didn't have any ideas. He didn't have any ideas going into that session. It was I think we kind of got lucky, and I think both of us would say like, yeah, I was pretty lucky. There was nothing. We didn't have anything to draw from or anything. We were just kind of like, hey man. And then like I picked up a guitar and played a chord. He played a bass line, and we just kind of were like sitting there. We're like, oh, that's cool. We should do this. And then it just kind of flowed into this whole thing.
Yeah. 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 Sometimes
it's pretty random.
I can't imagine, just I guess like the magic of that kind of moment where you guys don't necessarily have anything that's really, that maybe that you're like just going like, oh, I'm excited about this idea and like I want us to write on this, and both just kind of going into the room and not having one of those, and it just kind of coming out of nothing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those moments are pretty rare. I think that. I think it, for me, it happens a lot with certain people. Like currently been writing with, I'm helping producing this, someone's album, this guy, Josh Rainey Hines. And we're kind of the same way. Immediately we can walk into the room and both of us can start playing something randomly and we'll figure out something really fast, and it's pretty magical. And then you get those other sessions are just like, it's like pulling teeth sometimes. And I think that just goes to, you click with some people and some people you don't, not like it's like a personality thing or anything, but it's just, I think you kind of have a similar interest or something, or there's something magical there. And those moments are really, really special. It's something to hold on to. But, I mean, that's what I think creates bands. Like it's usually a group of people that kind of grew up together, and then they, for some reason, gravitate towards each other in that way.
Yeah.
Well,
also,
it's just a really awesome experience.
Yeah. I also have to think that like part of it is just being able to read other people well. And,
right.
Like, very much like, I guess like, because like when you go into a co-writing session of some sort, or you're just jamming with someone, you have to be able to like, even if you guys are like buddies and stuff, everyone's different, and so like you have to kind of maybe adapt to them to get like the best out of them, and know like what helps them be more creative and whatnot.
Absolutely.
For you, like, what do you have like a time of day that you like to, where you feel like you're a little bit more creative and a little bit more, it just helps when you're writing better? Is there any specific time of day or anything like that for you?
Either early in the morning or at night. Afternoon is pretty bad. I don't know why. Midday is not a good time for me.
Yeah.
I think I just get so like, my brain is so full of ideas or something, and I'm just like constantly focused on one thing or another during that time of the day. And at night I'm kind of more tired, and when I wake up I'm like energized and ready. So, but most of the time in the morning, like I've been waking up really early lately, like around 5:30 every day. And I find that that's kind of the time I'm most creative, to be honest.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of creatives they are like morning people like that, where and I think it has to do with just like having that clear conscience, like you just being kind of like the and of course like just kind of having a little bit more of a quiet and solemn space. There's not a whole lot of busyness out on the street outside your house or wherever, and you know, you don't hear a bunch of highway traffic or anything like that. And it's just kind of a little bit better of a mood setter.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome to wake up and like to kind of watch the sun come up is really inspiring a little bit, you know, and just kind of like, it feels really good. It's colder. You know, the air just feels like nice and still. And I feel like it's really nice just to be in that moment, and you feel very secluded almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I always, cause it's also weird. I'm sure you're real familiar with this too, is like sometimes when you wake up, obviously like you've not really talked with anyone the entire time you've been asleep. But then like sometimes like when you're up by yourself, the first time you like start talking, your voice can like crack because like you've not even talked with anyone in that period. Like you've just been doing everything and just kind of like in your own head. I always kind of like those kind of like that seclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of my favorite time of the day, honestly.
Yeah. Obviously like going back to, there was like this, you know, there was a 6-year period between these albums, and you guys in there, there was moments where you guys were kind of doing other projects and working with other bands and stuff. Mm-hmm. What was it like getting back together? Was it just like the same as always, or was there a little bit of like a period where you guys had to like get back in sync?
It was definitely like it took a minute, you know. I think there was some emotional turmoil that needed to be gone over, you know. People had grown and changed. We weren't the same people anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think there was some like animosity a little bit. I don't want to say animosity. I feel like that feels really bad, but you know, just some like really kind of like tough things happened, and it took some time and a lot of effort to get over that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it wasn't like oh, great, I'm so glad to see you, man. Like, obviously there was that there, or else we wouldn't have done it. But there's definitely some heartbreak and stuff that we had to get over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that's where, for starters, I think like everyone kind of thinks that everyone in a band is like best buddies, but also like you guys, when you guys start out, like there is a reason why you guys come together. And then when you guys are touring and recording and all these things, you guys are like next to you guys are with each other for such long stretches of time that it's very easy to, it's obviously very easy to like hurt the people you're closest to. You know what I mean? Like you've said, like the worst things you've said are to things that, or to people that are like family and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, like I get what you're saying there. Did you guys grow up together, or when did you guys meet? Like as far as
we didn't really grow up together. I mean, we kind of met right, I guess, after high school. We all grew up in the same area, but it's not like we all went to the same schools or anything, you know. I met Tyler through my little brother, who used to be the drummer, and then Brennan came along later. The guys, Tyler and Pat, had known him when our drummer was quitting at the time, and so we all knew each other from different local bands and different things that were going on in the music scene at home, but we definitely didn't all grow up with each other. You know, I mean, we got to know each other on the road, really. Mm-hmm. Especially with Brennan. I mean, we didn't really know him at all. And then it was kind of like, hey, okay, you're going to live with us for years now. Especially at that point, we were touring, like, we were doing 300 shows a year.
Yeah.
It's wild stuff. I mean, it's a good thing he's a good guy, or we would have been screwed.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a crazy thing to think that, like, just a couple of years ago, months ago, people were touring nonstop.
Right.
And all of a sudden now we're just on a pause. It's such a weird surrealness to it all.
It's so crazy, man. Yeah, it's just really weird. We were supposed to be gone a lot this year, and now I'm just like, here at home.
Yeah. What have you? I'm assuming you've been writing and creating and stuff like that. What else have you been doing to occupy that time and fill that time up and make it at least somewhat productive?
I personally have been producing 2 records for other artists, 2 different ones. About to finish mixing on both of them here. Just kind of got the initial mixes on one, and then we're starting mixing. We just started this morning on another one. So I've kind of been taking my time doing that and just kind of focusing on the recording aspect of music and getting my personal studio up to date, learning, because I want to do the next Desert Noises records by ourselves, kind of without a producer. Mm-hmm. And Brendan and Tyler have kind of been doing the same thing as well, just kind of like really focused on, like, I think we've all just been focused on learning things that we didn't know before about that complement our craft,
Yeah. Has that always been something that you've had interest in, producing
projects
for other people?
Always. That's kind of where, it's where I've wanted to be in a lot of ways for a long time. Personally, I just really love that. I love making records. It's like, to me, it's everything. Like, it's so creative and so fun, and there's so many different choices you can have, and it's frustrating, which I, for some reason, like. I don't know why, but
well,
I mean, I just really like that personally.
Yeah. Well, what is it like when someone approaches you with, like, their songs, their art, and wants you to help, record that? What is it like when you, obviously, like, you're not necessarily attached to those songs the same way you would be if you had written them? What does your headspace go to as far as approaching songs that are not necessarily your own?
I think it's a lot of, like, discussion, honestly. I think a big part of, at least to me, what I find in my style is, like, I really like to get to know that person, or, like, talk about their songs or feel what they're going through, so that I can kind of live in that space or put myself in their moment to kind of create an atmosphere. And then it's just a lot of, like, for me, I'm kind of just like, hey, do you like this? Do you like that? Like, just trying a bunch of stuff, and I love that about it. But I really do try and, like, get to know that person really well, because I think that that's always helped me, when someone's, like, actually caring. They're not just, like, behind there, like, okay, go for it.
Yeah, just being in the room hitting record. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay, yeah, move on. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, anytime I guess, like, we always kind of romanticize producers in the, like, the Rick Rubin kind of way, or, like, Phil Spector is, like, these, like, giant personalities. But, a lot of times it's the manager of the project. So, like, and just kind of getting everything in order, getting it all organized. I'm assuming, like, that's a part of it for you as well, is, like, trying to help just make sure the trains stop on time and everything.
Yeah, exactly. That is a huge part of it. Stopping and starting at the wrong time to the worst. So, I mean, that's just kind of, that's mainly the whole job, is just to, like, capture the energy in the best way you can, and just kind of, like, I think it's, like, a little bit of being a coach, like, making decisions like, hey, this isn't feeling right today. Let's just take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Like those breaks. I always feel like breaks are necessary in anything you do to help just get a little bit of that clear conscience again.
Right.
So was that like part of like why you ended up moving to Nashville too, to be around more artists and more people to help make records?
Not really, honestly. I just wanted to be central in the country for touring, to be honest. Just kind of like, I always wanted to do it, but I guess I just never really spent the time. And I think this just gave me the time to like really sit down and learn and do research. And I didn't want to be bored,
Right. Yeah.
And I wanted to be creative and involved in something. So I think I just was like, my brain was just like, okay, this is the way that we can do this now. Let's do something else, not just like sit around and watch Netflix all day.
Yeah. Well, like I think everyone obviously, like Nashville is such a, it's country music capital, but like they kind of fail to realize that like there's just a lot of music in general happening in Nashville and the surrounding area. So like, did you? I'm assuming you knew that. You kind of already knew that there was a lot of stuff
there's
happening. Definitely
more. There's music business here and everything like that. So that was definitely the conscious decision when we all moved here, was just like, hey, this is going to be, there's more studios, there's more places to practice, there's more musicians to hang out with that are like us. That was part of it, but the touring thing was the main reason. I mean, living in Utah was really hard to tour out of because you're driving like 10 hours to get to anywhere that you can even play, and by the time you hit the first show, it's like, man, I'm so tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it's like, okay, the first show's like 3 hours away. You kind of like slowly roll out there and you just kind of can coast back in.
Yeah.
Also, at the end of a tour, when you got to drive, your last show's in like Nebraska and you got to drive to Utah and it's like 20 hours. And the last thing you want to do is be in the band because you've been there for 3 months. It's like, here it's like the last show's 2 hours away. You just like get in the car after the show and just power through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, so I live in Lubbock, Texas, and that's it's not necessarily in the middle. It's not like far in that sense as far as Utah goes, but there is that sense of like anywhere people play who come from out of here, it's that drive back that they kind of go, oh shit, we got to drive back to Lubbock. And that's why people move to DFW or Austin when they're going around here, just to have that more central location. I'm assuming that like living and growing up in Utah was that a little bit of that double-edged sword of like being far from everything, but in a way that that kind of isolation from these other massive music hubs kind of helped be a little bit more help you guys be a little bit more creative. Is that true?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it shaped the way that our music sounds, just by what you can see outside. Honestly, like since I've moved here, I've totally find that the writing is different. It's just, it's not like you're not in that fresh mountain air.
Yeah.
I don't know, something magical about that place, honestly. But it's a different place, man. It's like so sheltered and its own thing, which is so beautiful, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just really funny. Once you move away from there, life is very easy and beautiful there, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I just assumed, that like you guys really embraced like the openness of the area, or like just the nature or the nature aspects of being inspired that way, because obviously, again, I think it ties back to having that space in the songs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that really influences our music, is growing up there, I mean, we lived 15 minutes away from zero cell phone service, and you're out there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I grew up. Like just where you would have to, especially like, I feel like we're around the same age. So like the mid 2000s, it was very, very difficult. You had to go to like a certain high point, even though it's like where I'm from, it's real flat. So the high point is just barely anything to get some service.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I miss it a lot sometimes, especially in a time period like this where you're like, man, I would be camping all the time. I'm not really into camping in Tennessee. There's way too many bugs here.
Yeah. And also like, it's a different kind of hot. Like I'm way more of a dry heat person. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, it's miserable sometimes. Summer's here, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So no, I hear you. Yeah, man. It's been really great talking with you about this album.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed
absolutely, dude.
The conversation and enjoyed listening to this album. Okay, that's it for this one. Big thanks to Kyle from Desert Noises. Y'all go check out Everything Always by Desert Noises. Go visit our partners over at Desert Door and the Blue Light Live. Subscribe to New Slang and go check out the New Slang Patreon and online merch store. All right, I'll see y'all later this week.